So, hello everyone. Thank you everyone for being here. So my name is Amaury. I'm working for SingularityDAO, responsible for marketing and partnership. SingularityDAO is a decentralized protocol doing AI and DeFi, built on Ethereum and BNB chain.
Hey everyone, that is me in the middle. That's a MeBit NFT. But I'm Michael Litman. I work at a creative agency called Media.Monks. We are a traditional agency, but we also have a Web3 offering, which I'm a part of in the innovation team. We have around 10,000 people around the world in 30 plus countries. So we're pretty much everywhere. And I'm here both as a personal builder, but also as a NFT onboarder for brands. That's me, thanks.
My name is Itai. I'm one of the partners at MarketAcross. We are a Tel Aviv, Israel-based PR firm, and we work with some pretty cool players in the Web3 space, and also help this event out a bit. And yeah, pumped to be here.
All right, so we are here to talk a bit about media in Web3. And one of the first questions I wanted to ask you, to both of you guys, is a bit for all the builders that are here. What are for you, in what you're doing in your daily activities, the main differences and the main purposes of using social media, PR? Because there are a lot of stuff that we can cover in marketing in Web3, but each one has several purposes. So.
Sure. So my background is Web 2, I guess, before it was called Web 2, and we have a whole Web 2 side of the business. It's funny, I always say this, and it's maybe not beneficial because I'm a PR guy, but blockchain is a bit over PR'd and under marketed, and only in the Web3 space do I have clients who have a announcement schedule before they have a marketing plan. So I do think that there is maybe too much announcing and not enough just product building, and that's also a lack of products. So it is a bit interesting because there's just a lot of news that happens in crypto that no one has anything to do with. So Project A and Project B do a partnership. But Project A is a protocol that has not yet been deployed, and Project B is a market maker that has nothing to do with any B2C people. So not a lot of quote unquote things to do there. So I just think there's a bit of a gap between the PR side, which is still very interesting, but it doesn't trickle enough yet to what's more traditional product marketing. And that's a bit of a gap that I hope that the industry now, as we're getting better products out there, will bridge a bit more. Less announcements, more product features.
Yeah, I think what we have seen over the past 12, 18 months is a huge hype cycle. There's been a real rush to getting half-baked products out. And there has been a bit of maybe a cash grab era in the brand NFT space that is now leveling out, and we're getting to a little bit more of a sort of maturity level where things are becoming less volatile, but more rigorous, a little bit more established. People are not just buying into things without doing their own research and understanding what they are buying into. So I think it's actually important.
But is NFT a product? It's a cool activation. We can talk about that, but that's a bit of a gap there where people think that the fact that they have an NFT out there, then that's it. That's a product. Then we can run with that. We're in the Web3 business right now. I had 2 hours on Canva and an AI generator, and now we're in business. So
absolutely. So we're going to see those more established, can we call them blue chips, that are the likes of Nike with artifacts and stuff like, I'm not going to mention Bored Apes, but they are the one that people always refer to, the Doodles of the world. They are becoming the next generation IP, and they all have to start somewhere too. But if you look at someone like Doodles, I think they're going to be like the next generation Disney in the Web3 space, and that's where we can see a slight difference from just a group of people that have come together over a weekend to put something together versus fully fledged businesses that are creating those products.
Thanks, guys. And regarding something that you said, Itai, that is interesting. So you're coming from Web 2, and I guess there are also some people here coming from Web 2. And what is for you, to both of you again, the big step that companies coming from Web 2 have to do some marketing and to reach the audience in Web3? Because most of the people in Web3 come from traditional crypto, let's say. They get some crypto on a centralized exchange. They learned a bit, they discover Web3 wallet and started doing DeFi and stuff like that. But that's not the case from directly brands from Web2. And how do they get to their customers, looking at the entry barriers, like having a Web3 wallet and stuff like that, without going by the crypto way? How do you come from brands directly into Web3?
So I think it's two-way. First of all, I think that Web3 people should understand that we live in a Web2 world that's, again, maybe can be fixing, but it's there. Like, a lot of times I meet projects and I ask them, who's your competition? And they say, we don't have any competition. And I said, well, we all live in a world that's maybe centralized and can be approved, but we're there. So first of all, I think Web3 people shouldn't think that we're inventing the wheel completely and everything's broken and everyone, but also the other way around. I think a lot of Web2 businesses get into Web3, and I meet a lot of people saying, oh, you guys are a bunch of pirates doing bullshit, you should be in jail, but we're gonna come in and fix it all. We're gonna do our data-driven marketing and whatever, and analytics and et cetera, and we're gonna kick all your guys' asses because you're a bunch of like degen shillers. And I just also don't think that that's correct. We've still built a multi-billion-dollar industry and people from all around the world traveling. So first of all, mutual respect from both sides. And I also think that that's the first thing. And the second thing is, why do brands need, I'm not trying to combat, but why do brands need to get into Web3? Like, why is that a necessity? Okay, Nike did something really cool and it works, but the concept that a B2C brand like Disney needs to be in Web3, then okay, maybe their stockholders or whatever want that, but a cool way to do that is to build a decentralized product inside their system. I think that's a much cooler way than doing, I guess, NFTs of Pocahontas. Now, maybe that will end up being part of it, but if you want to get into Web3, then how about like building something that looks like a Web3 product? Look at Facebook or Meta. It might be not decentralized, but they're going really deep into that, love it or hate it. So I think brands should get into Web3 by developing an actual product in the space. And no disrespect, I might love or hate NFTs. I don't think NFT is a product.
All right. Yeah. So Web2 exists without the need for Web3 in many shapes and forms. But I think we both, and to your point, we both kind of need each other to grow the collective industries. So I think Web2 thinking that it's going to be the crusade to kill off Web2 is not the approach. I think we're in some sort of middle ground here where there is like a Web 2.5 establishing where the Web 2 players and the Web 3 collaborate. And I actually don't think that it is so black and white where we're going to have two separate factions and they're going to be at war with each other. I just don't think that's the case.
Completely agree.
And I think what we're seeing is in the fintech space, we're seeing the likes of Visa, MasterCard, etc., going actually up against the new emerging players like MoonPay. And we're going to see a world where we won't need
Visa
crypto.
processes in 1 minute more than MoonPay will process in the next year. But that's the fact.
Right. So MoonPay is wanting to disrupt the traditional fintech space, but the traditional fintech space is going to disrupt the Web3 players as well. So I think it's healthy to have that competition between the two, but I actually think that adding this new decentralized layer onto the traditional brands' business offerings is going to be hugely powerful for them to enter the space authentically. We talk about, at Media.Monks where I work, we talk about entering into this space with the cultural creativity to understand how and why and where they're entering, then following on with community, and only then after that going into commerce. So it's kind of the 3 C's. And if you just go straight to commerce, there can be a little bit of a kind of shortcut that people think they can do.
I actually want to continue from what he said. I think that a great example actually is Starbucks and Polygon. So I think that that's a very cool example. Never mind. Never liked that one. First of all, yeah, it's not super decentralized. Starbucks can change the terms and conditions whenever they want. You can't offboard the system, but it is a usage of Web3. And the main thing I love about it is there's no financial asset behind it. And then people won't get pissed. Because the problem with what we talked about the panel is, I think, a huge difference between Web2 and Web3. I love Netflix. I love Netflix, but I don't care that the stock went down 80%. Maybe if they jack up the prices or the content sucks, but there's a complete disconnect between the user base and the asset holders. It might be the investors or whatever. In Web3, that's not the case. So if I'm a brand right now and I'm doing something cool and now I give them this asset, even if I give them it for free, if it's worth $100 tomorrow and then 2 days later it's worth $7, that community is not a happy camper. So I think that using Web3 in a cool way by brands is interesting. Throwing them these new little cool assets can really backfire. Because I always say, like, your community is as good as your floor price. So I do want to see more integration of cool things into that. And it could be media channels, it could be a lot of stuff. But don't make it a non-financial asset. It could be kudos for things, it could be access. Forbes is now starting to do stuff in the metaverse. There's really cool things, but just don't throw financial assets in situations where they're not needed, if you ask me.
All right. And regarding that, the specific work you've been doing for some client, like crypto client and non-crypto client, do you have some examples of direct cases you've been working on for companies coming from Web 2 to Web 3? We can say Web 2.4.5 with non-financial products, or directly for crypto clients. How do you work with them, and what basically you can do in the Web 2, Web 2.5 and Web 3 ecosystem?
Yeah, so I'm not going to say that it's right for every brand to enter into the space. It isn't. But we have had great success with, the large brands out there like Gucci and Adidas and Mugler more recently in the past week. And what we have done for those guys, let's take Gucci for example, we helped launch them into Web3. And that has been, over the past 18 months, that has been a collaborative learning journey that we've both been on together with an amazing pioneer of the space. We launched the Gucci Vault Art Space, which is a platform for Gucci, which was their own marketplace to sell NFTs by artists that were kind of authorized and approved by Gucci. So they basically created the first branded marketplace for a collaborative collection of artist creations, which is huge. That obviously there was many months and over the years has been a collaborative process with them. So it's not been something that they initially went into expecting an immediate revenue return. And I think that's probably one of the biggest changes and shifts that we have seen in working with clients that are getting into this on a long-term roadmap. This is not just a short-term quick fix for them. So that is when I talk about entering in authentically through the culture. That is something that I think they've been very successful in, as one example.
Yeah, so I'm going to focus on like Web3 core because I guess that's the stuff that we work with. So it's not very interesting or sexy, but we just take really basic things out of Web2 marketing and implement them into Web3, like SEO analysis and what's your features and what features do your competitors not have? Let's go after that. Let's say, all right, you're a wallet in a certain ecosystem, and you're the only mobile wallet, and the other ones aren't mobile wallet. Let's go to Product Hunt. Let's go to create GitHub discussions. Let's understand that kind of thing. So I really think that that type of stuff. So let's say we've been working with Binance for years. And one of the main things that we started working with Binance in 2018 was solidifying the notion that they are the largest crypto exchange in the world by volume. Now, the way that we work with Binance is that in front of the client, any article we would have gotten almost anywhere in the world that has Binance, comma, the largest crypto exchange in the world by volume, comma, and then anything is a good start. That's great because we solidify that narrative. If it didn't have it, even if it's in the New York Times, they're even more pissed because why didn't we solidify the narrative there? So I think that a lot of it is really going back to core, understanding the 2-3 main, what's your main keyword? Who's your main competitors? How are you better than them in features? What do you want people to think about you in one sentence? And that's very important in crypto because there's not that many different use cases out there just yet. Shh, don't tell anyone. 100 different base layers that are all doing a different race of anything ETH can do, we can kind of do. It's just not a very good look. So instead of like just doing the community and the pricing and the shilling, how about really communicating that kind of thing. And I think Cosmos is doing a great job right now about, oh, there's this thing called an SDK model for droppability. That's really cool. Let's check into that. And a lot of different wallets or base layers or whatever just don't sit enough in thinking about why you should use me and not someone else by definition. What will people search when they look for a problem? So it's really kind of core to core basic stuff that we sometimes need to reverse engineer into crypto companies.
All right. Speaking about that, because I think there are a lot of people building and starting to build some projects here, what would be, let's say not your best advice, but the number one error, the number one mistake not to do when you start doing marketing in crypto?
So first of all, I think it's about being consistent. I think that we have a lot of clients or people who come to us and say, oh, we don't want to shill, we don't want whatever. We're going to talk to the press only when we have really huge things to say. Now, again, I might be speaking in a position, but it is my actual opinion. I think that sometimes at least the PR game or comms is a bit more of like Moneyball. You can't just go for home runs. Because first of all, if you only go to the press when you have something amazing, first of all, they might not want it or whatever, and then you just missed your home run. And you also didn't create a situation where these people know that you're legit. There's so many companies out there, and sometimes you just need the audience, the journalist or whatever, to know that this is an actual live company. And it works by trying again and again and again. Yeah, maybe 4 or 5 pitches won't go, but at least the people know that these guys are doing. And then this concept of like, oh, when I have a mainnet, I have testnet and I have funding, then I'll go to press or whatever. Other than that, I don't talk to them. I think that's a pretty bad idea. And again, I speak from position. And the other thing that I'm kind of seeing pretty big right now is this like, you know, we're not funded enough. It's a bear market. We're trying to see what's our, you know, runway, and we're going to go into the cave and wait for the winter to pass. And first of all, I don't think that that's what startups are about. Like, I don't think that a startup's KPI or job is to survive. And the second thing is that the way that just people's cycles go is that you might walk into this cave for 6 months, come out with not that much ammunition left, and people have completely forgotten about you, or it's irrelevant or whatever. So I really think that it's from the moment you leave stealth, you're in market to market, and it's about repetition, and you can't stop doing it. You can maybe do less or do more, but quiet periods for direct-to-consumer brands, and yes, if you have an NFT or a token, you're a direct-to-consumer brand, if you like it or not. Then I think that is and the second thing is thinking that Twitter is everything. People think like, oh yeah, I'll just look at Twitter, and we're doing a lot of cool stuff on Twitter. Yeah, but not all the world lives on Twitter. So those are my 2 pieces of advice.
Okay.
Yeah, I think from my side, I think we're over the period of builders just building in silence and in isolation, and not ongoing communication of that consistency that we talked about here. Because if what you're looking for is track record, credibility, team, consistency, a potential market that is growing, and I think if you go silent, that becomes kind of FUD, and people are a bit like, are these guys still around? So I think silence is probably the worst thing that you can be doing if you have a project. So I think you need your marketing team needs to be like there from day one to be helping understand crafting the message, but also communicating ongoing beats. We see in Discord and on Twitter Spaces, people have like weekly, monthly cadence check-ins externally, so people know that you're building and developing, and so they can kind of go along that journey with you.
There's a handicap right now in the Web3 marketing space, which I think is an opportunity. So a lot of Web2, especially B2B SaaS or even direct-to-consumer, just rely 100% on paid advertising, pay-per-click. Now again, no disrespect, it's very important, maybe more important than marketing, but it's advertising, it's not marketing. I don't have to convince anyone, it's me against the platform. Now in crypto, it's not exactly that possible. Media doesn't like it, there's cooking is a problem. The cookies, it's not cooking. That's actually a pretty cool opportunity to actually need to talk to people, create a community, whatever. So where a lot of the Web2 businesses just buy traffic by bulk and optimize and whatever, we don't yet have that
community growth stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So it's actually also a pretty big opportunity, I think.
Right. We're running a bit out of time, but just in 1-2 sentences, what are for you the biggest innovation that's going to come in the next year in Web3 media, maybe with AI or different stuff?
So we didn't, I think, talk about media enough, more, but I think it was interesting to talk. But I personally think that influencers are going to die a bit, and I really want that to happen. I think that it's we're done with that, and I think we have to stop whatever. And I think that also crypto media itself really took a big hit. So I think that what we're going to be seeing is new formats of people creating DAO, like non-for-profit. I want to see a DAO media channel, a news website. I want to see a new business model inside crypto news that's going to be community-centered. There's civic. There was a few years ago, but I think that it's time now. What we saw with the block, what we see now with DCG and CoinDesk, we need to create truly independent, sovereign media, and I think that it's going to happen.
What is the purpose also of Web3?
I hope.
I've got two things. One, I think there's going to be tokenized media companies. So you're going to have subscriptions, but there will be tokens for your access. So it won't be your email, but it might be your wallet. And then second, obviously AI is getting into everything right now. So we're going to see a lot of the big tech integrating AI. We're seeing that with Bing already right now. So those are probably my two hot areas for the next 12, 18 months.
Thank you, yes, to both of you, and thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.